കനവിന് വന്നോള് നീ കരളായി പോന്നോള് കനവിന്।
वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। कैसे हो आप सब? आज हम जा रहे हैं नाश्ता करने पराठा टू पास्ता में। एंड कल आपने मेरा हिडन टैलेंट देख लिया होगा, गिटार भी बजा लेती हूँ मैं। तो लौंग तलशकार, तो हम लोग जा रहे हैं हम नाश्ता करने और मैं मिलती रहूँगी आपको, बीच में मिलती हूँ। आप द न्यू व्लॉगर हेलो कर दो।
हेलो। एक्चुअली इनको पराठा टू पास्ता का ब्रेकफास्ट इतना अच्छा लगा
कि हम वहीं जा रहे हैं।
तो इनको हुआ है कि अब हम एक दिन आज हमारा है घूमने का, तो वहीं पे हम करेंगे।
कल रेस्टिंग डे है हमारा एक्चुअली। चलो आओ फटाफट, आओ मम्मा फटाफट।
देख
चलो हम आ गए हैं पराठा टू पास्ता। तो चलते हैं पराठा टू पास्ता। चलिए, वही वाली जगह है, रॉबर्ट वाली। तो चलते हैं। गए थे पराठा टू पास्ता में, तो पापा ने ऑर्डर किया मूली पराठा, मम्मा ने वेज ग्रिल्ड सैंडविच एंड मैंने पनीर पराठा ऑर्डर किया। तो नाश्ता करेंगे। तो चलिए, आ गया रॉबर्ट। सैंडविच नहीं आया।
फर्स्ट आ गया।
पराठा टू पास्ता से निकल चुके हैं। अब हम जा रहे हैं कहाँ पर?
इरविन हाउस।
एयरविन हाउस जा रहे हैं अब हम। और बस वहाँ की हिस्ट्री वगैरह जानेंगे हम। यहाँ मैं काली आ ऐसे कर। अब आई ना गोरी चिट्टी दूध वर्गी। तो अब हम जा रहे हैं और मिलते हैं आपसे। और न्यू व्लॉगर मुझसे कैमरा छीन लिया।
इरविन हाउस में आपको जाके वहाँ की हिस्ट्री बताएंगे। कुछ समथिंग 1800 के अराउंड वहाँ के जो सेलर थे उनका हाउस है यहाँ पर। डिटेल में आपको बाद में बताते हैं। अभी आपको यहाँ के नज़ारे दिखाते हैं।
नज़ारे बहुत देख लिए।
नहीं ना, मैं तेरे गाने दिखा।
तो मिलते हैं।
क्या कर रही है प्रिया?
हेलो।
हाँ जी, पूरा ये डेल्टा है। डेल्टा में
राइट रख दो ना।
हाँ, वो जो रोड से हम जैसे ही हमने लेफ्ट लिया तो वो सारा डेल्टा आ गया।
अच्छा, चलिए हम सरी के ऑपोजिट साइड डेल्टा में घूम रहे हैं। वो प्लेन जा रहा है प्रीत, वो रहा प्लेन, वो रहा।
वो वैंकूवर में लैंड करेगा।
कहाँ पर है?
वो रहा
इस तरफ ये वैंकूवर।
सामने प्लेन है।
कहाँ पर? कैमरे में दिख गया था वो।
वेलकम बैक संडे स्कूल।
टेढ़ा है पर मेरा है।
डेल्टा है ऑल ओवर कनाडा में। घर बहुत सुंदर है। और ग्रीनरी तो बल्क में है। ग्रीनरी ग्रीनरी। हमारे जाने के बाद ही बारिशें होंगी और सर्दी शुरू होगी। घर ही नहीं आ रहा बंद कर।
तो हम आ गए हैं इरविंग हाउस। तो अंदर हाय।
Are you guys based in Westminster?
No, they are tourists from
India.
I study here.
So that's the living area.
Please tell us about
Yes, the family. So the house was built in the year 1865. It is the oldest intact Victorian homes in all over Lower Mainland. And this house was originally owned by this gentleman over there. His name was Captain William Irving. So that's why we call it
he
the
was
Irving
sailor.
House.
He was sailor.
Yes, he was a sailor and he was a sea captain.
Okay.
So he was born in Scotland, and when he was only 15, and when he was only 18 or 19, he became the first mate. So he rose through rank very quickly, and then 10 years later, he became a captain with his own ship, and then that's when he sailed to America. And at the time, there was a gold rush going on in California. So people from all over the world rushed into California in hope of finding gold. And his business was to help transfer people from exterior California, so where the sea line were, and into interior California, where the gold mines were. And there were a lot of people who did the business back then, but they were more concerned with like how fast they could ship the people, whereas he's more concerned with the safety of his boats. So he had a very good reputation, and he slowly built up his fortune. And as you may know, the gold rush started in California, but it gradually went up. So it moved to Portland, Oregon, and Captain Irving also went to Oregon. And there he met up with a friend, Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon had a logging company, so like a lumber company. So he also helped the friend transport like lumbers from place to place. And they were good friends, good business partners. And Mr. Dixon thought this Captain William Irving is a very reliable man. So he set up his daughter with him. So the daughter was Miss Elizabeth Dixon, and after she got married, she became Elizabeth Irving. She was 18, he was 38. It was a tale as old as time. It's like arranged marriage, but she was quite infatuated with him. She thought he's very like a funny man. He's quite good looking in her opinion. So and she's young and she's in love. So after they got married, they continued to follow the gold rush and eventually ended up in Westminster. And now I'll tell you about their children. Their eldest daughter was Mary, and then John, their eldest and only son. He's the gentleman in the middle. And then it went Susan, young Elizabeth, and they had their youngest daughter Nellie in Victoria. So over there we have a portrait of Miss Elizabeth Irving and her 4 daughters.
Okay.
Okay. So they built this very nice, beautiful house here in 1865.
So beautiful house.
Yes. And then, but
And what about this picture?
yes, I'll get to it. Captain Irving only lived here for 7 years, and then he passed away due to double pneumonia.
Okay.
So as it was the tradition back then, the house would automatically go to his eldest son.
Son.
But because he loved his wife so much, he made an arrangement that she can have the house after he passed away, as long as she doesn't get another man to love and marry. So Mrs. Irving stayed in the house for 10 years with all the children. But as I said earlier, she's from Oregon, and she's always considered Oregon to be her real home. So after the 10 years, she decided to go back to Oregon and leave this place. And by then, the house went to their oldest son, John. But John didn't really want the house, because even though when the house was first built, New Westminster was the capital city of British Columbia. But by the time, like after the 10 years, by the time it went to John, Victoria became the capital city. And all the exciting things, all the commotions was going on in Victoria. And John and his wife was living in Victoria, so he doesn't really want to come back to his dad's old house. But Mary really wanted the house, so she offered to buy the house from her brother, and he agreed. So you'd think they would just make the swap, but actually he put the house on auction and advertised the auction, meaning that anyone can come and bid on the house, which, it's not a very honorable thing he did. It shows that he cared more about getting the money than keeping the house in the family. But luckily for Mary, she and her husband Thomas Lasher Briggs, were the only ones who showed up to the auction. So the house, she was able to buy the house, and then she moved into it, and together they raised 9 children here. So that's a family portrait of the Briggs family.
Who is the owner of this house now?
It's by the museum or the
Museum.
city of New
Okay.
Westminster. And that's because, so they had 9 children. The last 2 daughters who lived in the house were Manuela and Naomi Briggs. And they lived here until 1950, and then they sold the house to the museum.
Okay.
That's how it became a museum. Now this,
What about their future generation?
well, they have
Where-
other relatives, but they didn't. The sisters owned the house and they sold it to the museum, so it's now the museum, and now it's a property under the city. But there are other descendants of the Irving family who would visit, and we would show them around. So yeah, and
But
this, you step in, you can already see the carpet in this room is a lot more damaged, and that's because the family actually used this room compared to the other room. In the large parlor, it's basically their equivalent of when Captain Irving passed away, they had his funeral.
क्या कर रही है प्रिया?
And on a happier note, when the weather's nice, like today, the family would also open the French window, and the servants can move the desk, the table and the chairs out, and the family can have a nice afternoon tea out in the porch. Yeah. That window over
Wait,
there
no, wait, no.
was a wedding gift to Mary and Thomas Lasher Briggs, so the second generation of the family who lived here. They actually got this mirror when they were in Victoria, so they have to bring it all the way here.
That clock is also antique.
Yes, but that's not from the family.
Okay.
Kitchen set is not.
Kitchen.
Oh, sorry. Tea set. Sorry. Tea set is Not from that time, no?
Not from the family, but it's from that time.
Okay, okay.
And the doll on the sofa, again, she's not from the family, but she's also antique. And she's called a Sundays doll, meaning children could only play with them on Sundays. That was like a special treat. And when I was like doing tour guide for our family who came over, when I told the mom about this story, she like told her son that, oh, you should have a Sunday PSP that you can only play on Sunday. So I guess that's the function of the doll back then.
That's the
Glasses?
yeah.
Yeah. Back then they were very
Scissor,
small.
glasses, comb,
Books are also there. Oh wow.
antique books.
What about these books? That was Bible, and what about these? What was written?
These I don't know, but they were like found in the house when the museum took over.
Because he was a sailor, he must be studying very hard. So.
Yeah, and the
Piano is
pianos
working.
also, or yes, it is
It is working.
And when the last two sisters lived here, they would give piano lessons in this room, which I think is very elegant.
Beautiful. इसमें photos खींचना.
Those
एक
two
मिनट.
friends, I guess they are from
Please.
India.
The center, there's like a circle of leaves.
Yeah.
Those are sisal leaves, and sisal leaves are a symbol of Scotland, which is a reference to Captain Irving's Scottish heritage. But it's a reproduction of the original wallpaper that was here. And because the family lived here until the 1950s, because it wasn't a museum, it's just someone's home, right? They would like paint the wall over, add new wallpaper. So when this place became a museum, that's like a detail that's a reference to Captain Irving's life.
मम्मी आराम से आना, ये थोड़ी फिसलन वाली है चेयर, सीढ़ियाँ सॉरी चेयर कर रही हूँ.
So the first room here is a nursery
Okay.
where the baby lived.
Okay, nursery room.
Yes. And when Mary Briggs lived here, because they have 9 children, there's always like someone living here.
Cute, no?
तब के टाइम की प्रैम कॉट.
They also had a living nanny to take care of the children, and she would also live in this room.
ओके.
बच्चा पूरा kids room.
सीढ़ी तो था.
हाँ तो वही है ना लूडो.
नहीं लूडो
लेकिन पूरा
नहीं.
कॉट वगैरह एक मिनट दिखा.
एक मिनट मैं खुद बना रही हूँ, ये देखो तब के टाइम की गेम्स.
So amazing. दिखा मेरे को दिखा.
ये
बना.
मैं अभी भी यहाँ पर सो सकती हूँ.
Little ना. You same.
Boring. This was John's room. John was Captain Irving's only son, and yeah,
Okay.
that's his room.
So lot of books there, no?
Yeah.
So many books, no?
And one thing we like to talk about are the detachable collars, because back Captain Irving's and even underneath the wood, like it's all interlocked, so it's more sturdy, and that's why the house is like was able to be maintained in such good condition because it was very well made. Also, I don't and I can't work this for you, but this sofa, like underneath this, they have a secret compartment. The master's bedroom, where Captain Irving and Mrs. Irving lived in.
It was their bedroom.
So in their room, they have this very nice iron cast furnace. Because when this house was first built, they didn't have any electricity, so it gets really cold during winter. And most people wouldn't be able to afford like such a luxury in their bedroom. But because they were super rich people, they could have it in every bedroom. And
So good. Hi, please tell me.
Oh yeah, so that door connects the bedroom to the nursery. So if the baby cries at night, the mom can get up and go to the nursery to console the baby. And
This
yeah,
is
that
dressing
yeah,
table.
that's the dressing table, and that door is for a closet. And nowadays we all have like a closet in our bedroom. But for back then, it's actually very uncommon because the regular Victorian person back then would often only have 3 outfits at the same time, 2 to alternate between washes, and 1 reserved for fancy occasions. So they didn't really need to have a closet. And also closets takes a lot of space and they were very expensive to build. But again, the Irvings were quite rich, so they can afford to have a closet in every room. Another thing to note is that because there was no running water, they didn't have a working toilet in the house. So they'll have to go to an outhouse outside their property. Not like on their property, but outside.
जुत्ती भी पड़ी हुई है.
There was no electricity, that's why there are candles and lamps are here, no? Yeah, lamps, candles. There was no electricity.
जुत्ती भी पड़ी हुई है.
हाँ. Nice. Very nice.
And over here we have reserved this piece of wall. That's how it looked when Captain Irving lived here before he installed any wallpaper. This plaster wall back then would resemble marble, and it's very pale, very white. And that's important because like the gas light and the candle light were very dim. So if you have a very light colored wall, it helps reflect the light and make the place brighter.
ये देख लो उस टाइम की है ना, उस टाइम
I
की.
guess they have bullet marks.
Yeah, bullet mark.
That's bullet mark. This one.
That one.
No, this one.
Up the hole.
नहीं bullet
Yeah.
marks थोड़ी होंगे
I
वैसे.
think it's old and it just fell apart. And this hole used to be just a tiny crack, but the tourists kept on picking on it, so it grew larger and larger.
What about this room? Wow. Oh, swing machine is also there.
This room is a girls' room. All the daughters will share one room. And these 2 display cases used to be closets. Again, they were rich, they can afford to have closets. I want to show you this piece over here. I don't know if you've seen something like this before. Do you want to take a guess at what it's made of?
Leaves and flowers, I think. What is this? I can't.
So it's
What is-
it's human hair made to
Oh.
look like leaves and flowers. So this is called a hair wreath, and it's made to commemorate special occasions. So for every special occasions like a wedding or like a funeral
Hair
or
accessories.
birthday, yeah, they
Oh.
would take a piece of their hair and make it
Okay.
into a flower. And hair wreath of this size usually takes multiple generations to make. And as you can see, some of the hair are silver, some of the hair are darker, and some of them are like reddish even. And
golden
that's-
color.
Yes, and that's how you can tell that it's from different people.
Wow.
Yeah. So this.
Look at these things. Right? All hair accessories are there.
Hair accessories,
At
jewelry.
that time also they use
Rings.
thread and for sewing machine.
Yes.
Gloves, rings on it. Wow, yeah.
And this wedding dress belonged to Nellie Irving. She's Captain Irving's youngest daughter. And here we have a photo of her in that
And same dress.
Yes, it's the same dress, although it may look different from the photograph. And that's because people back then would keep their wedding dress and pass it down to the next generation. And they would make alterations to the dress to make it fit the newest fashion, but it's the same dress.
देख रही हर चीज़ कैसे रखी हुई है इतनी संभाल के. Since 1800 हमारी अभी की चीज़ें नहीं संभाली जाती हैं. What about this
Yeah.
corner?
So this dress is again from Mrs. Irving when she was only a little girl and she had to travel on the Oregon Trail. So that was a very difficult journey and that's why the dress is very tattered. But she made it through. And over there we have a doll. And the hair on her is also human hair. It belonged to a girl named Mary Elaine Cox. She was one of Captain Irving's granddaughters. When she was very young, she fell ill and lost all of her hair. and it was a very traumatic experience for her. So to console her, the family took the hair she lost and made it the doll's hair and gave her the doll to console her.
बच्चे की फोटो हुई है
Yeah.
And
And she recovered.
photo, what?
Yeah.
Whose photo?
It's one of the daughters, but I can't remember who's who. But
so who that small baby
that's just a baby, like a random baby's photo. That's not Marilyn, but she recovered from her illness and grew up. But she swore to never cut her hair ever again. And we have a photo of her here. Okay, you can see she has very beautiful
Oh
long
my
hair.
god, so long hairs. Wow, look at her hairs.